everyone. We're happy to have Terry here with us today. Terry, thank you so much for joining. How is it going?
Yeah, it's great. I think the end year is quite exciting right now with some of the market movements.
Nice. Can you please share a little bit about your background and what led you to come to the Web3?
Sure. I started to get my hands a little bit dirty in Web3 itself for crypto. Started in about 2017 when crypto adoption in Singapore was beginning to get a little bit more retail. I think back then I remember that I signed up for a Binance wallet, and in order to trade, of course, you need to on-ramp certain USDs and stuff like that. There was a tranche of, like, if I'm not wrong, 100 USD first, and then after that it was 150. So it was still lots of security measures, KYC and stuff like that. And I went through it. Got my hands a little bit burnt as well, making wrong decisions as per many people in crypto. And then after that, I actually went over to TradFi. Traditional finance. I was working in the local bank, and I was still very much looking at different markets. I mean, the crypto market, stock market, interest rates and stuff like that. So I've always been very interested in finance. Right now I've come full circle to basically be doing business development in a Web3 integrated marketing agency, and that's actually where I start to learn more about Web3 itself. It's not just about cryptocurrencies. There's actually more to it in terms of, like, utilizing blockchain technology in infrastructure projects, in NFTs, and of course, as a avid gamer myself, naturally I have interest in Web3 gaming as well. So yeah, that's basically how I started and where I am right now.
That's great. Today we're going to focus more about marketing in Web3. Can you share, the first question is, how do you approach marketing cryptocurrencies to a wider audience?
Actually, for this one, I would say that it's a two-way street where we have to first understand what are the objectives of many of the clients that I have. Many of them, depending on the project, there is this narrative called Web 2.5, where there is a transition of Web 2 kind of marketing styles or the project use, and how it actually builds onto Web3 itself. So from there, then we can start to understand, like, what kind of marketing strategies that we can actually impose. And being a regional marketing agency, we do deal with various regulations in the different countries around Southeast Asia. So I think taking example from Singapore itself, things are pretty, I would say, well received by some of the ministries and the government bodies, but of course the utmost importance is keeping the citizens safe from potential rug pulls or scams and stuff like that. So we always need to tread very lightly in terms of the communication, and I think that's where many of the blockchain companies and Web3 projects are coming to us to see how they can actually utilize public relations to, number one, increase its credibility in the various regions as well, and of course keeping within the right green tapes and green flags within the regulators itself.
Can you share a specific example of a successful cryptocurrency marketing campaign that you worked on any project, and what made it successful?
I would say that one of the more successful ones that we did about, I would say, 3 to 4 years ago. Of course, thank God that there was a bull market during then. Most of the projects that we were doing were pretty successful. It was a GameFi project where we were marketing their token launch. The game itself has a very good backstory, a lore to it as well, and we actually utilized some of the Web2 gaming influencers around Southeast Asia to promote the game itself, casting its I would say its net to a wider audience to gain more, I would say, conversion from the Web2 gaming community, to educate them, to pique their interest into what's Web3 gaming itself. And that's where we did see, if I'm not wrong, it's about 160 plus X in terms of its token price. And I think till now we are still very close partners with them, and we are also have been bringing them around various conferences for speaking opportunities as well. I think one other successful, I wouldn't really say successful, but it's kind of like a 50-50 kind of thing. So we actually assisted Whoppy with their expansion plans into Singapore back then, when the Monetary Authority of Singapore was still a little bit more lenient in terms of their regulations. They came to Singapore, set up shop, and we were, the PR agency for them to do the announcements of Huobi coming to Singapore. And then shortly after that, I think there was a huge rise in rug pull projects, and that's where the regulators had to step in, and the licenses for exchanges in Singapore was then kind of very tightly regulated. So Whoppy decided to leave Singapore after a few months. So we had to do a little bit of a crisis control over there for some of the public relations communications as well. But I would say that it was a good time for exchanges to be in Singapore at that point in time. But of course, with the regulations, that's something that we have no control of.
Can you share more about what challenges do you face in marketing given the volatile nature of the market?
I think in terms of the volatility itself, is really dependent on the type of projects that we deal with as well. Of course, we have like NFT projects that we are helping with marketing, community management as well. And there's always a risk that, a certain announcement might or might not be a very positive thing, right? It could be the first or the second drop of a NFT launch or a GameFi launch or whichever, and that's where we actually need to plan out very carefully in terms of what's the foundations of the marketing narrative that we are building. We need to build a strong foundation so that when we do, come up with an NFT launch date, a drop date itself, or a token launch date, that's where we do not receive the negative backlash. I would say that, there are certain Web3 projects, big companies that have announced certain partnerships on their Twitter or on their Discords. And, the retail community would then foresee that this is a mutually beneficial kind of announcement, a marketing announcement, but end up when it does launch, there was actually a negative result on the markets itself. People were predicting that there would be a rise in some of the token prices, but it actually caused a reverse sort of effect. So I think a lot of times the communications that we need to provide will have to start from a very early stage of letting the community know that this, for example, this partnership announcement is in the works, having constant updates on this particular vertical, and then seeing it through. Many a times I do experience that we have clients that have announced a certain news, but 1 year, 12 months or like 18 months down the road, these updates were not seen through. So it actually became quite like a negative effect as well. So I think proper planning in terms of like the project roadmap and the timeline is also very important.
What is your response to the criticism that cryptocurrency marketing often promotes speculation and unrealistic investment expectations?
I would say that in the whole market itself, when you're looking at like bonds, stocks, or even cryptocurrencies itself, there will be a target audience that each markets are catered for. Of course, having the least risk averseness of like in terms of returns of investment, of course you'll be looking at ETFs or bonds which are pretty much quite safe. Stocks and shares, yes, there are some sort of volatility as well for forex, etc. And of course you're going to have a market audience that will be inclined to enter cryptocurrencies with the high risk, high reward kind of ratio, right? So for us, we would really tailor the marketing campaign to the right target audience itself. We will always let the community know that, hey, this is after all, your how I say is the onus is on the community itself for them to make their own decisions. Whatever that we're doing is just marketing the project out to the community, and then if they see the benefits of entering at a certain time, then that's on them. And we're basically caught in the middle sometimes to commit what we have proposed to our clients in terms of the objectives, the KPIs and stuff like that. But of course, I think on the bigger picture, that's where let's take Southeast Asia for example. That's where for us as key players in the ecosystem, we want to work with many of the regulators as well to ensure that we do some sort of due diligence and KYC checks on some of our clients as well, and to also share a little bit more on what's happening in the ecosystem to these regulators so that they can understand and potentially work together cross border bilateral kind of like conversations can be held, like for example between Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, some of the policies that are set in place to protect its citizens, and also to ensure that there is some sort of governance in terms of the safety of purchasing or entering into some sort of Web3 investment vehicles. I think these are some of the conversations that should be brought up. And since Web3 is still in I would say still in the early stage, as compared to hundreds of years of finance and fintech sort of conversations, I think we do have a lot of room to grow, and the community should grow along with these regulators supporting these conversations.
Okay. The next question, how do you stay updated on the latest trends and best practices in the cryptocurrency marketing?
Let me start off with keeping up to date with some of the trends in cryptocurrency and blockchain first. So for us, we do have a Web3 team where we will of course be looking out for the latest trends, what are the interesting topics that we can talk about, because we always draw relevance to what are trending topics, what are the meme kind of content that's coming up that could be in relevance to some of our clients' projects as well. So for that, we are always kept abreast with many of the new trends and viral content that's going around. In terms of like cryptocurrency marketing to stay ahead of the curve, I think that's one thing that is very challenging. That's for one. So in the Web2 space, when we're doing marketing itself, we will always want to be creating viral content, and some of the viral content is highly dependent on luck, right? If it gets picked up by the algorithm and stuff like that on TikTok or on Instagram, that's where you start to see a boost in numbers. And since cryptocurrency and Web3 ecosystems, the markets are moving much faster. Trends are also developing much faster. In essence, our marketing plans also have to evolve just as fast or even faster. So that's one of the challenges that we are facing in Web3 marketing, but it's definitely a very exciting space to be in, to always be kept on the ball, to ensure that we're always giving proper advice and also creative ideas to our clients.
Okay, you also mentioned about Web2 marketing. Let's also talk about Web2 a little bit. How does it differ from traditional marketing methods, Web2 marketing?
I would say credibility will be one of the really big issues. So, for example, in Web2 marketing, we have a clientele that covers F&B, travel, hospitality, and gaming as well, esports especially. We do have like a pool of influencers that we are working with on a constant basis, and these influencers have already kind of made a name for themselves. It's also very credible in terms of the content pieces that they are putting up onto their social media. And it's not all the time where these Web2 influencers will ask for a certain engagement fee, right? But we do see that in Web3 itself, profits are always the top topic of whichever engagements, right? So it's most of the time, like I would say, pay to win. So if you have like Web3 influencers on Twitter or on YouTube where they do have a huge following, and they do see that there is an opportunity to monetize this influence itself. Very similar to some of the public relations publications that we work with as well. I mean, you can see like Cointelegraph, CoinDesk, these are huge titles in the Web3 publication space itself. And it does take a very big story to get it organically covered. The rest are usually paid article, sponsored articles, or even sponsored press releases. But of course, I think having the underlying safety net of due diligence checks, I think that's where there is some sort of credibility still, even through paid engagements, be it with KOLs or with media titles as well.
And how businesses ensure a seamless transition from Web 2 to Web 3 marketing strategies, if applicable?
That would really depend on the kind of project, especially. I think one of the narratives that we are talking about right now, I would say for 2024, don't quote me, I'm not a Web3 expert at that. I think RWA is one of the narratives that does have a very valid Web 2/2.5 kind of narrative, especially when you're talking about one of my clients right now, their RWA project, which is dealing with travel, hospitality. They have like chains, hotel chains, resorts, and stuff like that, which has that tangible kind of real estate where people can utilize the tokenization of their NFTs or the tokens and stuff like that to gain some sort of utility through their travels. I think that's some of the things that we can actually see how we can transition. In terms of the marketing strategies that we have proposed, is a two-prong. Of course, it's Web 2 and Web 3. Web 2, where we are looking at talking about the Web 2 industry of tourism, travel, hospitality, F&B, entertainment. That all comes when you're traveling. And of course, then after that, we need to talk about the narrative of the Web 3 aspects, the tokenization, the tokens, the NFTs that comes along with it, with the utilities. And that's where we need to educate, I would say, focus a little bit more on the education, because there is a transition of getting the Web 2 community on board to understand about the tokenomics, about the NFT utilities, and then how it actually gels together as the Web 2.5 bridge itself between real estate and tokenization.
Okay, and what strategies have you found to be effective in raising awareness and adoption of cryptocurrency?
I would say that offering information through the marketing strategies is one of the most important things. Even for myself, I mean, I find myself scrolling through various social media channels, looking at the various Web3 influencers, and everyone is shilling different stuff. Some people are talking about XRP going to the moon. Some people are saying that XRP is kind of stuck. There are other influencers that are talking about different narratives for 2024. At the end of the day, I do feel that all this serves as tools for individuals like myself to begin their research. It's only scraping the top level, and if you really want to dive deeper into Web3 itself, into cryptocurrencies or into the blockchain technology adoption, there is a lot of self-study that each individual has to do. But of course, if you have a strong community in your country or within your organization, that's where you can actually turn to some of your peers who have already done the research themselves. Some of them have done the research because it's something that they like to read about. Some of them have actually learned about a certain scenario because they have been burned from a bad trade or over leveraging or stuff like that, which is very apt for me. I've been greedy to do 100% 100x before on a upward bull trend, but I went to short. So these are the things that you learn through experiences as well. And for newcomers coming into the Web3 space, into the crypto space, I think there's a lot of knowledge that can be learned from your peers that have experienced things, so that you don't have to experience the loss of your investment, or the loss of investment through a scam or a rug pull or stuff like that. And there's a lot of Web2 financial tools that you can use as well. Some of the knowledge that I've learned from my degree in finance as well. I mean, you're talking about like your fundamental analysis, your technical analysis, and stuff like that. All these things will help you towards a certain extent, but of course, it's not going to make you an expert overnight as well. So it's really up to the individual to
Yeah.
make their own decisions and research.
Yeah, totally agree. And Terry, I have last questions for you.
Sure.
Last question for you. What excites you most about the future of marketing and in Web3 technology?
What excites me is actually the real use cases of blockchain technology itself. I think cryptocurrency is actually just one, I wouldn't say it's a very small aspect of Web3, but I think cryptocurrency will start to drive some of the financial backings of many of the companies. And the companies are the ones that come up with innovative ideas or solutions that are built on blockchain itself. And I think we are reaching a stage where we have done the initial research of what blockchain is capable of, and right now it's really more of the exploration stage of what can it do better in the future. Of course, there are some people who are saying that they feel that Web3 is coming up with innovative solutions for more problems itself. But I think even in the fintech industry, when we talk about coming up with fintech solutions, there will bound to be some of these side problems that will arise. And that's why we would always need to band together as a Web3 community, not just in Singapore, not just in Southeast Asia, but like even from the south, the southern hemisphere, the northern hemisphere, from the east to the west. That's where we really need to have conversations of looking at different perspectives so that we can learn even more about blockchain adoption itself, and then how we can innovate and improve there from there as a community itself.
All right. Thank you, Terry, for this discussion. Thank you for these amazing insights. And I hope our audience also like it. And for those who wants to connect with our speaker, you'll find Terry's contact information right in the video description. And yeah, thank you so much and have a nice day. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Adia. Thanks. It was nice speaking to you. Bye-bye.
Yes.